I awake and immediately check my phone. Magic Twitter is in a uproar over some bird thing. But I don't care, I'm a JUND player, and casually reply JUND can outgrind this. I don't receive a single like. I get out of bed and walk past the shower. I haven't used it in weeks. I turn on my favorite Magic YouTuber and listen to them talk about how the game is dying. After realizing I've lost all my money trying to drop ship resealed Magic packs, I begin my morning appraises.
Lhurgoyf is still good.
You see, there is an idea of the perfect JUND deck. Some kind of abstraction. An idea, something illusory. But there is no real JUND. Only an entity. You can throw in Ragavans and you might even think you've finally done it. But it simply isn't like the old JUND.
What's up, Planeswalkers? How you doing? How you doing? Today we explore the canonical best color pair, JUND. How do I know it's canon? Trust me. Our commander of choice is Disa the Restless. The card says whenever a Lhurgoyf permanent card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, put it onto the battlefield. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, create a Tarmogoyf token. So, getting stuff back from the graveyard, tokens, and Tarmogoyfs. Wizards really knocked it out of the park with this commander, and I was super excited to build it today. Before I get ahead of myself though, I do want to make one thing clear. The list I settled on today isn't a crazy Tarmogoyf tribal deck or a combo pile. I wanted to make a deck that has that JUND flavor with the grind only JUND decks can provide. So what I ended up with was a Goyf-filled value pile that's more attached to its graveyard than wizards and money. Now, you might ask, what do we do against a turn 0 Leyline of the Void? And the answer is incredibly simple. Cry. That's not a joke, we really can't beat that. Now, the price of the deck is pretty crazy. Luckily, I found an effective way around acquiring cards for any deck. Let's talk Goyfs, because we're going to be playing lots of them. Why? We're going to tutor or discard these bad boys into our graveyard to cheat them out with our commander, then just beat face. It's only fitting we start with the literal Tarmogoyf. The old modern king, now a cruel shadow of a bygone era, is in our deck for flavor, and that's about it. And of course it works with our commander, but since our commander makes this creature easily, there really isn't much of a logical reason to play it. I just like flavor, and it's my deck list. Borrow Goyf is a nice way for us to get cards in our graveyard, and we are playing some non-Goyf cards that we can grab out of our graveyard for more value. Bloodline Pretender, which is a Goyf thanks to the Changeling text, and this is a perfect card for us to beat players down with. Oh boy. Ditreativore needs some setup in. This is a card that kind of breaks the rule of our deck. You see, we don't want to throw it into our graveyard, but rather suspend it so that we can start blowing up lands. Mortivore is just a beat stick that we can regenerate. Just be careful because there isn't any base toughness on this card. Necrogoyf, which in my opinion is one of our deck's strongest Goyfs, since we have some discard in our deck, and this card is a good enabler for our commander's ability to cheat Goyfs out by discarding them. Another Goyf is better Tarmogoyf, and that's about it, except you can escape it too, which again, it's just a better Tarmogoyf. Polygoyf, another strong Goyf. Strong because it comes with the Trample and Myriad, so it's a better way to apply some pressure and get some Goyf tokens out of our commander. Pyrogoyf is part of our combo kill in our deck and the most powerful Goyf we play, since this card can dish out lots of damage. It pings any target of our choice whenever a Goyf enters the battlefield or itself. Realmwalker is another honorary Goyf that gives us information, and with the Masswind Nexus out, this card's ceiling goes way up, since we'll be able to cast any creature from the top of our library. Taran Mauler is our ultimate Goyf beat stick that works really well with the Chandra's Ignition and the Skullspore Nexus we're playing. But let's be honest, that's a pipe dream, as this card usually eats his swords before that, but there's benefits to that as well. Terravore comes with Trample and should provide us an easy way to make a bunch of tokens with our commander. Altar of the Goyf hands out more Trample and a big buff if we swing with one creature. Tarmogoyf Nest is honestly a very iffy card, but for flavor's sake we're going to be playing it, and I suppose having a way to make Goyfs on other people's turns has its own merits. Now for the ramp. These are cards that will help us get out our commander fast, which the sooner we do, the faster we can win. Borderline Explorer is a cool outlet for us to discard a Goyf and get a land into our hand out of the deal for some added value. Ignoble Hierarch is a classic JUND mana dork that comes with some extra value. Ornithopter of Paradise is a simple mana dork that'll chump big flyers in the late game. I also like it because it's an artifact for our graveyard. Farseek to find a Triumph or Dual Land. If you use your own mana base and go more basic heavy, then you can change this out for a rampant growth. The rest of our ramp is Mana Rocks, which there isn't much to say about. So, yeah, they tap for mana. Sol Ring, Arcane Signet, Golgari Signet, Gruul Signet, and Rakdos Signet. Interaction. We're going to use these cards to throw people off their game. Since we're playing a pretty honest deck today, our interaction section is going to be important. Abrupt Decay is still relevant and useful for destroying permanents that you know are going to be fought for. Assassin's Trophy is actual permanent removal, and having that option can't be understated. Kolaghan's Command can be a lot more than removal, but I have yet to play a game where the Destroy Artifact option isn't relevant. There are a lot of options with this card, and that's part of the reason we're playing it. Tear Asunder is our way to exile problems, and I can't speak for your meta, but in my meta, exile removal is premium. I might even play a Deadly Rollick if you have it. I did not include it in the base deck list though. Toxic Deluge is our one board wipe that can hit indestructible creatures, and again, to talk about meta, if you find that you need more than one board wipe, go ahead and throw in a Damnation. Our next section is all about our graveyard. These cards aren't super cohesive together, but they all work towards a graveyard theme, and I didn't want to throw them into the value pile section. Anger and Brawn work well with our mill and discard plan, and hasty trampling Lhurgoyfs will win us games. Ideally, you won't want to be playing these cards and actively want to mill them with cards like Ripples of Undeath. This is a pretty sweet engine that's going to let us salvage cards we don't want in the graveyard for mana and life. Sir Conrad the Grim can ping the table down with all the movement we have going on in our graveyard, and it comes with a way for us to mill cards. Chainer, Nightmare Adept does a lot for us. It's a discard outlet and a way for us to replay creatures from our graveyard. One cool synergy this card has with our commander is if you tutor a Lhurgoyf into our graveyard, and then our commander, basically reanimates it to the battlefield, it will have haste because of Chainer's text. Mortuary is a combo piece and should be used with caution because we want creatures in our graveyard until we're ready to combo off, and this card can ruin that if creatures die with it out. Just remember, it cares about creatures going from the battlefield to the graveyard, so graveyard tutors are still good to go. If you're curious about the combo, then don't worry because I'll be showcasing it at the end of the video. With creatures leaving our graveyard frequently, cards like Insidious Roots can give us a lot of value by making us tokens. These tokens can tap for mana and become quite big if you want to swarm the board. Dead Bridge Chant gives us a massive mill trigger, and ideally we play this card after our commander is out for maximum value. Also, this card works for our grind quota because boy can this card jund people out by returning cards to our hand or battlefield. Grizzly Salvage is more mill that can grab us a land or a creature. These next cards can be classified by simply saying that they are cards we'll use to tutor Lhurgoyfs or other powerful creatures to our graveyard for reanimation purposes. Vile Entomber, which comes with a death-touching body. That's nice. Buried Alive, our best tutor since it can grab 3 Lhurgoyfs. Unmarked Grave, Entomb. To finish this section off, we have Reanimate just in case our commander can't help us or one of our opponents has a nice toy laying in their graveyard. The rest of our deck is part of the value pile. These are cards that don't fit into one particular strategy of the deck, but offer us lots of value. Invasion of Ikoria is a nice creature tutor, and since it's a battle, it'll help make our Lhurgoyfs 1 bigger as it's a unique card type. Grist the Hunger Tide for its mill and repeatable removal. Liliana the Veil for flavor, and its discard can help us drop Lhurgoyfs for our commander's ability. But since this is a 4-player game, the rest of the abilities on Liliana are kinda terrible. Renin 6 is part of our grind package. It can make use of all the fetch lands and mill we're playing in the deck. Archon of Cruelty because it's a fun creature to reanimate, and if we can set up a Masswood Nexus, then we can do some nasty things with our graveyard tutors. Eternal Witness for a reanimatable recursion spell, plus if you've ever wanted to add a combo to the deck, then you can start with the many that involve this card. Breach the Multiverse gives us a good mill trigger, but since we're stealing a creature or planeswalker from everyone, usually this card just wins on its own. Chandra's Ignition is here to abuse the fact that we're playing big creatures and Skullspore Nexus, making this card much better. Faithless Looting for card draw, and we don't mind throwing cards into our graveyard. Grist Voracious Larva, shouldn't be hard for us to flip into Grist the Plague Swarm. We can use its abilities to mill and blow up problem artifacts or enchantments. Noxious Revival has some great utility. You can use it to get something back, or make sure that an opponent's reanimate target becomes invalid. Altar of Dementia is part of a combo I mentioned earlier, otherwise we can use this to sack Lhurgoyf tokens that our commander makes, filling our graveyard. Ashes of the Fallen is a mass wood for creatures in our graveyard, turning our graveyard tutor and reanimate using our commander strategy viable for any creature in our deck, and not just Lhurgoyfs. Masswood Nexus does the same thing, but it extends its reach to making creatures in our library Lhurgoyfs too. Really, the major difference is that Masswood Nexus works with Realm Rocker, where Ashes of the Fallen's wouldn't. Palantir of Orthryn can be some nice card draw, or a good way to mill some cards depending on how good at politics you are. Greyhenge is a creature deck staple that draws cards, gains life, and makes stuff bigger. There's a reason it's so expensive. If you want to make the list cheaper, you should start at the mana base, but if you need it even cheaper than that, then start cutting cards like this, since they're just value engines and not imperative to our game plan. The Skullspore Nexus is a really fun card that, like the Henge, can be cheaper with big creatures, and the amount of value to gain from it is truly amazing. Since we do have, again, Chandra's Ignition, we can use it to get some sneaky lethal, or just overrun a player. Black Market Connection does a lot of things for us, things like ramp, draw, and make bodies. This card can make you blow through your life total pretty fast, so use it responsibly. Garruk's Uprising is another draw engine that gives creatures trample. The final value piece, Parallel Lives, will make sure that we can grow an army of Goyfs with our commander, and we have a few other cards that make tokens and give counters. For the mana base, follow your budget, but keep in mind Wrenn 6 is in our deck to fit the mana base that I made. If you'd like to copy said mana base, then you can find it in the deck list in the description of this video. My recommended land for the deck is Taknuma, Abandoned Mire, since it can mill some cards and get us a creature back, all in an uncounterable way. For the combo section, I'm going to cover the Disa the Restless, Altar of Dementia, and Mortuary combo. We'll need all of the following cards on the battlefield, with some type of Goyf that isn't a token. In this example, I'm using Pyrogoyf since it's the Goyf that we'll need later in the combo to end the game. To start, activate Altar of Dementia by sacrificing the Pyrogoyf. When the Pyrogoyf dies, Mortuary triggers, putting the Pyrogoyf from your graveyard to the top of your library. Resolve the Altar of Dementia ability, causing you to mill the Pyrogoyf from the top of your library. Disa the Restless first ability triggers, returning the milled Pyrogoyf from your graveyard to the battlefield, which will then ping any target. We can then repeat this process to mill our deck and get every Goyf out of our deck and keep pinging the table down with Pyrogoyf. So is JUND back? Maybe, but for sure this deck will be a blast, and I hope you enjoyed the video. If you made it this far in the video, thank you, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Subscribe to see bigger and better content in the future, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.